So, Jeff, thanks so much for getting together with us and talking about our relationship over the last, what's it been, like 18 years?
It's been more than that. I think it's like been 25.
20? Yeah. So, and I want to congratulate you again on selling your company.
Uh-huh.
But what I'd like to do is kind of go back to, the beginning and
Sure.
how we met and started working together, because I think that's real powerful. I think you and your dad showed up at a family-owned business seminar.
Correct.
We
Yeah.
hosted.
Yeah. So we were at a seminar. I just kind of recently graduated from college, came into the family business. Always knew that's what I wanted to do, but didn't know really anything about anything. And I went to a seminar, and it was Jerry LePaca and yourself were doing a talk, and it was about knowing your numbers. And I don't know, it just resonated in me so much that one of the best decisions I ever made was I ended up hiring Dugan LePaca like the next day. So it's been nothing but success from then on.
Terrific. Yeah, and when we met you, you were a fourth generation business at that point, over 100 years old already?
Yeah, so I was fifth generation.
So you were fifth generation.
Yeah, so yeah.
Your dad had bought out his brothers.
Right.
And so your uncles had been in the business. And it was a old cake glue manufacturing business, which is used horse hides, and that was your business. And then you took over and took it from a old-fashioned cake glue company and introduced hot melts and liquid glues and things like that, and just built a worldwide company.
Yeah, so I think when I took it over, still with my dad, it was like we were probably about an $800,000 company, and we were running in the red. Yeah. And every day was like, are we going to be able to open up tomorrow? But our main business at that point was making adhesives for the graphic arts or the bookbinding industry, which kind of was when I came in. Kind of we saw that as like maybe a dying industry, and shifted over to packaging.
Mm-hmm. But it was always really you that came up with those ideas and took it to that level.
Well, I don't hate to take all the credit, but I really have to say, I mean, one of the biggest decisions I made, and I just remember having it with my dad, is switching the accounting firm, and that was a huge changing point in our career, just because I didn't know much about the financial part. And so when we hooked up with Dugan LePaca, and just learning the basics of understanding accounting, and I learned that in order to have a roadmap, you have to have a plan, you have to have a direction, and basically your financials are the roadmap to get to where you want to go.
You recently just sold your business for over $100 million to a public company.
Yes.
Again, congratulations. That's incredible. And as much as I know about your company and its finances and things like that, can you share though, like your business, what it actually did and how you got it there?
Yeah, so we were a manufacturer of industrial adhesives. So people say, what are adhesives? So basically, when you go into a grocery store, basically everything in that grocery store has some type of adhesive on it, and that's the type of adhesive we've made.
And you're right, I never would have thought of that.
So some of our customers would be, Anheuser-Busch, Coke, Pepsi, Hormel, Conagra, Jenny-O Farm. So just a slew of big name companies out there, and we serviced plants worldwide. We had 5 plants in the U.S. We had 4 plants overseas, and so we were a global company. We were I was a 5th generation. We're a 140-year-old company. Like I said, we early on we were kind of founded on bookbinding and graphic arts, which was a kind of a dying business at the time. When I took over, we were less than $1 million, and we switched over to packaging, food packaging, and it just kind of took off from there, and we went global, and one thing just happened after another, and until we rolled past $100 million and just continued to grow after that.
Yeah, one of the things I remember, Jeff, was it was a very difficult decision for you folks to switch accounting firms, because you had the same accounting firm for 25 years, and it's all your dad knew. And part of the job I saw was to get you folks comfortable, get Wisdom Adhesives comfortable with making that switch. And I actually sat down with you and talked about what's going to happen. How is this transition going to take place? And we finally got your dad comfortable with it. I think you were pretty much comfortable with it from the start, and that started the relationship.
Yeah, going back to that, it's funny because in my family business, we would not make a change for anything, especially my father. We just wouldn't change. So for him to kind of, I was already on board. I knew we had to switch to Dugan LePaca. I knew we needed it to take it to the next level. But my father, he just wasn't about change, and I think it was really hard for him to kind of come to the conclusion to make the switch. But we sat down. After you guys had come out and done the speech, we went to our offices, we talked, and after that meeting, he just knew that it had to be done too, and it was a great switch. It was the right thing to do at the right time.
When we first started working together and you took over the business, you were doing everything.
Yeah.
And I remember us sitting in my conference room, or Dugan and LePaca's conference room, and we did an org chart.
Yeah.
And can you tell me what was so startling about when we did that org chart and started putting names in all the different spots? Sales, manager of sales, CEO, plant manager, things like that. Can you tell me whose name kept popping up there?
I guess my name kept that showing up. But I guess when you're a small business and you only have a few people, you kind of learn to do it all. Whether it's making the glue, selling the glue, managing the product. Basically you just learn to do everything. And I think like one thing that I learned was it's probably cliche and you probably hear it all the time. And I think one thing that you guys taught me is that I needed to stop working in my business and start working on my business. And that was a wide opening when we sat down, we talked, and I'm in every single box. I realized, we're not going to get anywhere, if I'm doing it all. And I just remember sitting down and having that talk with you about, okay, we need to get a sales guy. Can we afford to pay for this? And I had no idea. And I just remember sitting down, and I think we had a napkin out, and you kind of did the numbers, and you pulled in the gross profit. And at that time, I still really didn't know much about financials. And that was a big step because it showed that we could afford a salesperson at that time.
I remember that day like
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Doing that because that was really powerful. We had spent the day together working on your business, and then in the end, you wanted to know, hey, can I hire this salesman? Can I afford it?
Yeah.
And I showed you how to calculate that, and I don't think you ever had to ask me again.
No.
Because you were such a quick learner in that respect.
Yeah, but there was several examples of that. You go back, Leo, we got talking. We talk about like we didn't have cash flow, and I'm wondering how do we get cash flow? And I just remember going back and sitting me down and trying to explain, accounts payables, accounts receivable, days collected, days in inventory. Stuff that I would never even know. Like I had no idea, and I just remember Dugan and LePaca always just making it very simple for me. I think when I went to college, like they teach you, but everything's so complicated. And I just remember, going to Dugan and LePaca and just sitting me down and saying, okay, we're going to take these 5 things, we're going to work on these 5 things, and once we get these 5 things down, we'll go down to the next 5. But I just remember, and that's what I would always tell people, just try to keep everything simple.
Yeah.
It's funny because when I think of myself, I think of myself as a sales guy, a marketing guy, and that was like my passion. And then when we ended up like hooking up with Dugan and LePaca and just learning about the financials, I would have to say the greatest thing that I loved at my business was doing the financials, understanding a profit and loss statement, understanding accounts payable, understanding accounts receivable, knowing your numbers. I can't say that enough. Like you guys taught me how to know your numbers, and I would that'd be my greatest advice to anybody in business is you have to understand your numbers, and you have to understand what your nut is, and how you're going to pay for all this, and what revenues you need to come in, and what needs to offset everything, and that's something that I never would have learned without Dugan and LePaca, and I think it's just because we had such you guys were so you were so hands-on in my business and pushing me all the time. I just keep going back to that because you guys constantly challenged me to do better. Month after month, and it's funny because when I think back to those accounts payable, accounts receivable, inventory, probably one of the greatest things we ever did together is we put that financial dashboard together.
Right.
And if you remember that, it was just
Oh,
it was like 2 pages long, but it was all the key indicators of our business.
started at half a page.
Yeah, started at half a page.
And
Yeah.
you with your eagerness to grasp the financial part of your business, it ended up being a page and a half or 2 pages with all the different things you wanted to track.
Yeah, and I would say like even after after a few years, it just kept on growing. But we used that our entire probably from the first day. It started maybe 1 item, and then by the time we sold, we get like 25 indicators, and it basically was the heartbeat of the company. You could look at that, I could look at that, and we could tell. We could see trends. We could see, how's
The company that bought you looked at it.
Yeah,
we use that as part of our selling.
And it just made everything. It just put all the important numbers, put all the key indicators on 2 sheets of paper, so we could run that business off that business that dashboard. Which I still say was probably one of the greatest things we ever did together. I mean, there's been a lot of great successes, but that was just. I think we could always talk on the same page. And it just goes back to keeping it simple. I think that the biggest switch for us, or the biggest thing that Dugan and LePaca did for us, is Dugan and Paca was a business partner. They weren't just like a regular partner. They became part of our family business, and they were instrumental in all of our successes. I can't imagine we wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for Dugan and Paca. I mean, it was more than just an outside sourced company being the CFO. I mean, you guys were so intimate in our business from day one all the way to the day we sold.